What is up, everybody? It is Jason from Jason Sports Clips, back with another video today. And now I'm not going to get too much into an intro because I want to get straight to the point. The Packers cut candidates. You already seen the thumbnail. You already seen the title on the screen. Basically, long story short, there's a few players that are possible cut candidates for the Packers before the new league year starts, and there's a few untouchable ones. I'll basically get into that here in a second. But if you are brand new, hit that subscribe button because I'm at 223 subscribers. Hit the like button, comment down below what your opinion of the video is, and etc. That is it, man. Let's get into it. Alright, so as you can see on the screen, it is a website called Over the Cap. It basically is another app for basically cap situations, and this actually gets a little bit more into detail compared to Spot Track. And as you can see on the screen, like I said, you can see the whole Packers entire roster. As for example, David Bakhtiari is on the very top of the list because he has the highest percent of the cap for the Packers. And before I get into the true cut candidates for the Packers, there's a few players out there like Jaire Alexander, like maybe Elgton Jenkins. I've heard, I actually doubt, believe it or not. But Jaire Alexander is completely untouchable. There was a lot of rumors that, happened about week 15, week 16 of last year's NFL season. And if we take a look at it real quick, when it loads, he's on a 4-year contract. He's signed into 2026. I mean, we just basically re-signed him, I think last offseason. And he'd be basically irrelevant to get cut because I'm going to show you guys a little bit right here. So mainly you're looking at this area right here on the right side, the dead money, which is to the left. This is the dead money for Jaire Alexander if we ended up cutting him pre-June. So that's $27 million, and then we'd be technically saving $3.4 million if we ended up cutting him. So overall, we save about $3.4 million, which is actually no, this is actually vice versa because this is in red. So we'd be losing $3.4 million in the cap if we released him. But if we decided to trade him pre-June, it'd be the same thing. And then if we wanted to restructure, it always, restructures always create more cap for the future. But like I said, Jaire Alexander is completely off the table. So the first guy I really want to look at is Kenny Clark. He's more of an under the table kind of guy that the Packers could possibly cut or trade, just because that he only has one more year on the contract, which is this year. And if you look at it on the right side, if we cut him before June 1st, we'd be saving about $3 million in the cap, $24 million in dead cap. But like I said, I always look at this right side number. And it wouldn't make sense. I would really see the Packers we would re-sign Kenny Clark because he only has one more year left. He's 29 years old, so I think the Packers should sign him to like a 2 to 3 year contract extension. That would free up a little bit of money, as you can see right here. It would free up $12 million for this year if we do end up re-signing him now. But of course, we'll re-sign, I guess you can say. But then whenever we given a contract extension, it adds a little bit more cap to the next few years, which is understandable. So Kenny Clark, he has one more year left on his contract, 29 years old, and he did really good last year. It makes no sense for the Packers not to extend him right now. So now Preston Smith is one of the players that could be very likely be released because A, he's 32 years old. Now he does have a contract up until 2026, so he has a few more years left on a contract. But if we end up cutting him prior to June 1st, I'm going to keep saying June 1st because that's the technically designations. We'd be saving $2.5 million in, cap space, which is not that much. If we decided to trade him, it's the same number. If we decided to restructure, which is very possible that we do restructure Preston Smith just because he's already older, he has a few more years left on his contract. It's possible for the Packers to restructure his contract. So, and if we end up doing that, that's $7.7 million that we could be saving for this year's cap. And that's actually a clear cut choice. I think the Packers should absolutely restructure Preston Smith just because his contract is looking a little right now. And he had an okay year last year, so if I was a Packers GM, I would just restructure Preston Smith again. Another heavy candidate for to be traded or cut this year is Devondre Campbell. He's already 31 years old. Last year was probably his worst year as a Packer with injuries. I know that he wasn't that good in pass coverage. He was just on and off the field with injuries, like I just said. If we end up, he's also signed until 2026, just like Preston Smith. And if we do end up cutting him, it'd be $2.6 million. So it's actually a little bit. But the new scheme that the Packers are doing now, it's more of a 4-3 scheme. And it's kind of eliminating the middle linebacker position. I mean, we already got Quay Walker as it is, and he's younger, cheaper, faster, etc. He's all of the above better than Devondre Campbell as of right now. And when we signed him a few years ago to this contract extension, it was worth it at the time. But last year, he already had mixed feelings of the Packers. He was already injured a lot. He didn't play like the last 4 or 5 games. And he's looking like a low heavy candidate for a cut candidate. So if I was a Packers GM, I would just end up cutting him. It's only 2.6 right now, but it just makes sense logically for him, for the Packers, for the scheme, all that crap. So we had Kenny Clark. I would re-sign, or not re-sign. I keep saying that. A contract extension for Kenny Clark. Preston Smith, I would do a restructure, and then Devondre Campbell, I would cut. And the last but not least, definitely not least, is oh my God, I almost said Devondre. Is David Bakhtiari. And now here is the guy who many Packer fans know, many Packer fans talk about frequently. Is David Bakhtiari, 33 years old, and he was an absolute stud when, Aaron Rodgers on the team a few years ago, when he was healthy. This dude was a beast, and it makes sense for him to be the most paid tackle in NFL history whenever he signed it back in 2019 or something like that. But quite literally, ever since he signed that contract, he's only played like 11 or 12 games in 3 years. And that's not worth all this money, as you can see. This 2024 season, he's getting paid $40 million to basically not play. Well, assuming he's not going to play. And if the Packers end up cutting him, it'd save the Packers almost $21 million. And it makes no sense for the Packers to not cut him, because we already got Rasheed Walker doing absolute great job. Zach Tom, great job on tackles. And our whole offensive line is actually pretty good shape. We need a couple more depth pieces, like I said in the previous video. But it's an obvious choice to cut Dave Bakhtiari. 33 years old. Last year of his contract. And, let's see the other trade pre-June. It's the same thing. Let's see if we end up getting an extension. We'd save $15.7 million if we gave him an extension. But there's no way in hell we're getting him an extension. I say a 99% chance he gets either cut or traded. But it's easier for the Packers just to cut him, because if he ends up getting traded, let's say to the Jets or whatever, since there's a lot of rumors about that, and he most likely has to pass a physical, and he's not healthy. He cannot pass a physical. So, and then it's going to come back to the Packers, and that's going to be a whole nother... It's going to be a disaster if he ends up getting traded and getting sent back because he didn't pass a physical. So, long story short, I'm sorry, David Bakhtiari. You were a great Packer for the little bit, and it is what it is. Time is coming for you. Retirement. But that wraps up this video. If you like it, hit that like button. Comment down below what you think of my video. If you agree, if you disagree, whatever, man. I'm out of here. Deuces.